Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Deep Drop for another episode. Luke McCredden here, and Adam Ring joins me as always. Adam, fishingworld.com.au is where you and I go to find out the latest info in fishing and boating. And, mate, what have you found there this week?
Luke, it was pretty hard not to find what was going on. Now, for those potentially around the country that are listening, Luke and I are from Victoria. And so you're about to get the perspective on a red hot topic in New South Wales at the moment from two Victorians that not only don't know much about this species, but actually didn't even realise in Victoria they were also on the no-catch list. There's a little bit going on, Luke. There's been a little bit of controversy around spear fishing, which has then made itself huge in the recreational fishing sector with line caught fish too, and that's in fact the blue groper.
Yeah.
Little bit going on in that space. It's a controversial topic. There's a lot of little bits and pieces at play, but essentially what's happened, there was a couple of blue groper taken recently via by spear fishermen have got in the water and taken a few. Now they of course have been on the no take list for spear fishermen in New South Wales for quite a while, and this has sparked a storm with a knee-jerk reaction of blue groper actually being banned for 1 year as of the 1st of March for anyone to take, not just spear fishermen, but all those fishermen off the rocks that would typically bait fish for blue groper now aren't allowed to either, and it is blowing up the news feed.
Oh, mate.
Fishingworld.com.au.
Firstly, I'm not surprised that this is the one that you raised, because quite frankly, I've seen numerous articles come out across social media from Fishing World, so I assumed this was the one that was going to grab you when you went across the website. Funnily enough, I was in Sydney around the time this all sort of kicked off, ads, and I'm not going to lie, like there was electricity in the air about this. Like the locals there was sort of mixed feelings all around the place, but I'm not sure of a species that's grabbed headlines the way this one has in recent times. It's quite amazing, but it also goes to show the reaction and the activity that can come from maybe a little slip up. Now I'm not certainly not fully deep across this, and I know it's been on in the forefront of our New South Wales friends for some time. From a political standpoint, yeah, like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs of this, but it just grabs you, doesn't it? When it makes you think. It's certainly not condoning what happened. That what was done was wrong, because as you mentioned, it was actually banned already. But geez, doesn't take much, mate. They jump and react to these sorts of things pretty quickly, don't they?
Well, that's sort of been my biggest takeaway. I wasn't sure, to be brutally honest, Luke, I wasn't sure if I should even bring it up on this show and try and tackle it, because it's in Victoria, the blue groper, it doesn't get spoken about. I couldn't tell you where to go and fish from in Victoria, and that's maybe because it is, and being very clear and open, it is on the no-take list in Victoria. And the only reason I found that out was reading through what's been happening in New South Wales. And the powers that be that enforced the ban actually used the Victorian ban as what felt to me a little bit like an excuse, maybe just a little bit of, political play.
Yeah.
Where they were saying, and this basically gave them another reason to align some of the rules with Victoria, which I think personally is 100% and completely irrelevant. But they were just finding other ways to try and tie in their decision with what was already happening.
To justify a decision. Now, and you sort of said Victorian ban. Was it a ban based on an incident, or was the Victorian? And I don't know how deep you've looked into this either, so question without notice. Or has it just been one of those ones where it's like, nah, that's a species you're not fishing for in Victoria?
I'm not 100% sure. It's the blue groper have been such a non-spoken about species in Vic. I dare say they've probably been on that list for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, look, you and I worked in a tackle shop in Victoria for a long time, and I don't think I ever had a conversation with anybody about a blue groper.
I'll be honest, confession. I actually didn't know the eastern blue groper was a Victorian species.
I couldn't tell you where to even try and find one.
Well,
They
look,
might be everywhere.
I was
I
going
don't
to
know.
say it could be quite possibly all along the coastline, and we, going off the New South Wales fishery or non-fishery now, it seems those rocky sort of cliffs and headlands and so we do have, I suppose, plenty of those along the coastline, whether it be right down into the west around Portland and the like, or up near Phillip Island, so there's plenty of that, or they could just be sitting on reefs and whatnot as well, but not something I was overly familiar with. But geez, the eastern blue groper has got my attention in the last couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, this is a very harsh reminder to everybody in this game. Boy, how quickly things can turn, and what we do for a living, whether it be line fishing, whether it be spear fishing, we are so under the microscope.
Yeah.
Because this was, and even just say benefit of the doubt, say that fish was speared with all the right intentions, that the fisherman at the time literally had no idea that he wasn't allowed to be shooting that particular fish. So he's already wrong. You have to know.
You have to know.
You just have to know. And it's so easy to find that information these days, whether it be via apps run by the fisheries bodies, whether it be just search the thing on Google and you'll find it.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find out that information, and you have to know.
Yeah.
But one tiny little slip up, and I'm not justifying at all on what happened with the spear, but this is now turned into a complete ban for an entire species on a 1-year trial.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. There is a 1-year trial. There is also opportunity, whether it be positive or negative, to have your say, and that's one of the I think there's links in one of the Fishing World articles ads where you can actually click through and have your say about how you feel about the whole situation. Now, it's an opportunity to get something off your chest, which I don't mind, because I think typically in the modern age, the way to do that is to jump on the computer and be a keyboard warrior. So this is a healthy way to actually have an opinion. Like, there's going to be some people that go crazy on there and use every word under the sun. But I think ultimately, like, if you've got a legitimate point to make, jump on there and have your say. Like I said, you and I, and I'm speaking for you here, but you and I are certainly in no position to have a say. We wanted to raise it because it is just everywhere at the moment as far as headlines. So it seems silly not to bring it up, but it does. You raise a good point. It does kind of make you go, I know the rules, but I just might need to fine tune them, because every now and then you might go, pretty sure that's the bag limit, or pretty sure that's the minimum size. But we can all slip up. But by like you said, we're not trying to sit here saying we're angels. We've all broken a speed limit, or parked in the wrong spot, or whatever. So it's just a reminder to everyone just to refine your your skills a little, or sorry, your knowledge and your info a little bit before you go out.
It's just that reminder that we operate in a space which is controversial. It doesn't matter how much respect we have for any of the fish species that we're targeting, and by any manner, whether it be line, whether it be spearfishing, whatever, we have to understand it. It's not even a thing that you can think, we have to.
Yeah.
There is an instance right now that's happening in New South Wales. They have lost a popular rock fishing, line fishing species. They've lost it. It's gone for a year. And where I worry, Luke, this is not a 12-month trial, because it's actually it feels to me like the decision was made on the spot. In this
a bit too quick, wasn't
scenario,
it?
In this scenario, how does banning line fishing for these species, which as of whenever the actual spearfishing instance was fine the day before that.
This
It,
is
it
the
doesn't
thing.
really make too much sense, but this is how it happens.
Well, this is the thing that where my head goes, and I'm not trying to make a statement, but is this because I think a lot of situations where a fish, like we look at snapper in South Australia, it's the result of overfishing and doing whatever. I feel like this one, there was already a ban on spearfishing. That was a rule that was implemented, that was enforced. Line fishing was fine. Someone speared one, so they've banned line fishing. To me, this is a penalty, a punishment. It's nothing to do with the species being under threat or a concern for the numbers and the health and safety of this particular fish population. It's a bit of a fuck you.
Well, this is what I mean by we're constantly under the microscope.
Yes.
It took one very easy to make and simple mistake that now an entire fishery for a certain species has been wiped out. And it doesn't end there either, Luke. This is where it's really nuts. Off that one event in Cronulla, there was then lobbying straight away for a marine park to be then put. Now, that was shut down by the Mayor of Cronulla. It was shut down. So
yeah, but this is what happens. It's the flow-on effect.
This is what happens. Straight away, literally straight away, there was paperwork in for that whole area to be off limits to everybody under the disguise of a marine park. We have to understand what's happening. And Luke, you and I see it a lot in Vic. We've actually covered it on previous episodes of this podcast with the bluefin tuna, with kingfish, even with snapper, our most iconic and local species. When they start being viewed as trophies, we start leaving ourselves open to this sort of thing. And that's not what I'm saying happened with the blue groper, because through the bits that I've read and the bits I've been able to find, I don't think this was done as I'm going to go and shoot a groper. I think it was done as I'm spearfishing. I've just seen a very unique looking fish that wasn't going anywhere, because they are an extremely docile species, which is exactly why you're not allowed to spearfish for them. I understand all that. But again, one simple mistake through not knowing the regulations has led to now a 12-month closed season and potentially a marine park, which for now has been shut down.
And then you know what will happen? Then you're not allowed to spearfish for them. You can't line fish for them. Eventually, you won't be able to go on the rocks and go for a walk out there and look at them. Eventually, you won't be able to go to the beach to even go to the rocks. But eventually, you won't be able to go to the restaurants near the beach. Eventually, you won't be able to drink at those restaurants. Eventually, beer will be banned because of the eastern blue groper. That's what will happen.
That's what will happen. And that is the very strange world we live in at the moment, Luke. So
just, But yeah, I mean, I'm not. They're the sorts of things we are. You talk about it all the time. The optics of fishing, Adam, and I'm with you. We're under scrutiny we're under scrutiny, but we're under the microscope. We're like the naughty kid at school that the teachers are waiting to fuck up.
Yeah,
we're just
100%.
One slip up and they'll expel us. That's what they wanted. No,
yeah,
I don't want. Look, I'm not.
100%.
I just want to make clear this isn't an us against them podcast. I'm just having a bit of fun, but it's not a laugh or a piss take that this has happened. It's an interesting one. Let's learn from it.
For everyone in New South Wales who does or did or has fished for blue groper off the rocks and enjoyed it. It is important now that you do get on, go on to fishingworld.com.au, find the article, and have your say. Be respectful, please. It's not about getting on there and going full keyboard warrior and really going to town on anyone involved in this 12-month ban. Be respectful, because I have seen it. Well, Luke, we've both seen this in Victoria. We've been through, in the last 10, 15 years, we've been through multiple massive game-changing events for recreational fishermen in Victoria, through netting bans, through netting buybacks, there's been all sorts of things.
Mm.
So it is possible to have your say respectfully and get stuff done.
Yeah.
But it has to be a reminder. It has to be a reminder to everybody that all this stuff really matters, and we do operate in a space that is very much under the microscope.
Yeah.
And there's handfuls and groups of people out there that would have loved nothing more than to see this beautiful pastime off the map altogether.
I know.
And New South Wales seem to be
It's true.
copying it harder than any other state as far as the marine parks and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. And
It's
adds
tough space.
just on a selfish personal level, I need this industry to stay alive because it's what I do for a living.
Yeah, me
You
too.
too.
Me too.
But the marine park thing, I'm just going to put this out there and see what you think, because I mean, this discussion around marine park at Cronulla and all that is a reactionary thing, whatever, blah blah blah. For the most part, and this might be the most silly sounding thing ever, I don't quite understand marine parks when it comes to fishing related, or blocking off sections of area because of it. What is that? Have we got any clear, validated messaging as to why they do marine parks and what the results are of implementing marine parks? Do you know what I'm saying? Does that sound as dumb as I think it might?
No, it's quite valid. And I must admit, I haven't delved into the marine park issue. And we do have marine parks in our home waters in Vic, Luke. And I know, like I said, New South Wales seem to be fighting the next marine park weekly. And even into Queensland, they're starting to come up with this sort of stuff too.
And I don't want to, by the way, pretend I know what I'm talking about in this space.
No,
it's not a space I've played in. And we speak to friends of ours like Al McGlashan, who's right across it and he gets pretty involved in it. So that's a level I'm not at. But from a high level perspective, I struggle to fully understand and struggle to find a fully comprehensive, detailed description of why they're implemented and what they actually do.
No, it makes perfect sense, and I think the overwhelming response would be, I don't know, because normally you would think in a world that makes sense, a marine park would be put into place for a specific purpose. Now, whether that be protecting the spawning run of a certain species, whether they've seen deterioration of the environment, the weed beds, the kelp, the reef, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
From that perspective, I get it. It's not that I'm 100% dead against marine parks.
No.
But are they on a timer? Because we never seem to see marine parks that get reviewed and then not be marine parks anymore, if that makes sense.
Well, can absolutely make sense. Can I give you an example? And this is somewhere over your side of the world that I feel like it's probably been a marine park for 180 million years, and no one really has probably got any paperwork on whether or not it was supposed to come off that list or be a part of it. That whole Ricketts Point area.
Yeah,
that's in your sort of neck of the woods. Like, can you tell me something about that area? Because I feel like it's always been marine park, and there'll be people listening, by the way, who have way more info than you or I. So please let us know, because I'm genuinely curious, and I'm not just pinpointing that, but that's an example of one where I'm like, well, okay, at what point? What was the main outlying reason for that becoming a marine park? I'm open to hear it, by the way. I'm not saying, oh, don't do it. But B, is there a end date?
I'm sure, knowing bits and pieces on how these things work, there will be the spawning of an exotic seahorse that they've decided only resides in that area of the bay, and seahorses love eating pippies, so we might catch way too many. I don't. That's
they open them up with their little hands and just like slurp them up.
It's about the extent of why I think, but in all seriousness,
no, because those seahorses, by the way, had hands. Yeah, that's
that's right. Yeah. Well, and it's through overfishing that they decided they had to drop the hands so that they weren't as susceptible to the pippies. So we got involved in the evolution of this exotic seahorse off Ricketts Point, and we had to be stopped.
Yes, it's now evolved into a toadfish.
Yeah. Yeah, which
That's what
Oh,
happened.
toadies.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Tell me, what do you know about that particular marine park, if anything,
I know you're not allowed
apart
in
from that?
it. Yeah, to everybody around the area that fishes it, and someone will know somewhere along the line on why it was made a marine park. At this stage, it seems like it's a marine park because it's a pretty good fishing spot that's accessible to everybody. I don't know. I don't know, but it is a great question, Luke, and it's an interesting thought process.
Yeah.
What are we protecting? If there is something legitimate there that needs protecting from boats and boat traffic, I'm all for it. Making a marine park.
I'm all ears. Yep. I'm just
But
curious.
What
as
is
to,
the reason?
Yeah, I'm curious as to, and I raised that one because obviously it's an area we've both fished around, for a long time. But there's examples of that, as you say. New South Wales, prime example. There's lots of little pockets. I think we spoke to ET last week, and he was talking about Bateman's Bay. It's an amazing joint, but there's little pockets of marine park all over the place. I'm sure if I actually did my homework, maybe there are some explanations there. But it's just one of those ones where it never seems fully black and white as to the reason. To your point, if any of them are to rebuild, regrow habitat, which will ultimately result in, more fish, more crustaceans, more bloody all that, 100%. Let's rock and roll. But is there a time where they go, we're satisfied with how that's gone? Open water.
Well, that's probably something that I can answer because I think it's been proven. They're never satisfied that it gets back to where it needs to be. Because I can't remember any marine park that, we woke up one day to a press release saying, guess what? This area is open. Yeah. Go nuts.
No, it's set and forget. 100%.
Yeah.
And who sets it, by the way? Do we know that? Is it a fisheries thing? Is it
no idea.
Some old bloke in Parliament House that goes, just shuts his eyes and waves his finger around until he lands on a spot on the map?
Goes the old dartboard at the map.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's, look, I know there's people out there listening that are going, you two are fucking idiots. There's perfect.
And yes, we are. But
yes, we are.
But every now and then we make a good point. And I think asking the question of a marine park and its lifespan as a marine park is a valid question.
Yeah. I also think
it would be good to know.
I also think raising the situation of the eastern blue groper in New South Wales is not a bad one. Just if nothing else, to shout out that area, and obviously, it's a shame for those people who did enjoy that land-based element of fishing for those species. If there were many, I don't know. But also, just as a bit of a reminder, I suppose, for everyone, just to make sure that we're across what we're doing, because that is a shame. It's a great fishery. That whole land-based thing up all around Sydney and the surrounds, there's so much on offer. Not one I'm super familiar with. You mentioned earlier there was, times where back in the day Rex and Bushy and that were doing it, not for TV. So, it's certainly a thing, but hopefully we don't give them much more ammo for them to shut down things like that.
Yeah, well, they're already trying. So, if you're a local up there, have your say. I don't feel as though we just don't like seeing any restrictions to what we do, especially those that seem like a knee-jerk reaction with no solid science and research backs to give us good reasons. We are reasonable people, us recreational fishermen, but we feel as though we can be. Yeah, they can take the piss pretty easy when it comes to fish shows.
In other news, knee-jerk reaction is one of the great phrases in the English language.
Write that down.
Yeah.
I might have to try and slot that into every podcast going forward.
I think you could. And I think you should. It's a great one-liner. Anyway, but let us know your thoughts. Obviously, get involved with that whole situation that's happening. You can have your say. Go to fishingworld.com.au. There are articles where there's links to have your say. But let us know too, because you've heard pretty clearly, Adam and I are fairly uneducated on this subject, but we wanted to raise it, we wanted to talk about it, and more importantly, we want to get you guys involved. So share your thoughts if it's something you're familiar with, or if it's something you want to learn a bit more about as well. Like, let us know this is what we're about, And hopefully we can have a bit of a conversation on Instagram. The Deep Drop is where you can find us, and yeah, let's have a chat. We'll be back next time. See you, Adam.
Peace.